once again for the restart of the race 1 of the Race at Home Championship round 2 in the Pro class. As cars go off down, Seshan having a beautiful start there, and you can see all these guys into the first corner. There's Seshan, Brian, Kevin, Thiago, Viren, Angelo. I think Angelo has lost out a little bit on that one, but it's an amazing start by all these boys. Seshan still managing to hold steady, and again we see poor Mdad having problems with his data. He's had to leave the room. Unfortunate for him. But ladies and gentlemen, Seshan Gunasekara leads the track back into this round of round 3. Trying to get the stream running on the other side, but I'm not managing to find it. But there you have it. Seshan Gunasekara still leads, and hounded by Brian Pereira. Amazing race there. As we go along, we wait for Seshan to come into the last bit. Beautiful ride there by Seshan. Seshan managing to still hold steady. Brian having fallen back a little bit. There, and Brian's brother Kevin having got very, very close to him. It will be interesting to see what these guys are going to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are covered by a very, very small margin of just under 1 second. So Seshan leads Brian, who's being followed by Kevin, and then Thiago. Viren is also on Thiago's tail, a little far behind, but nevertheless having Angelo right on his tail as well. So there you see Kevin now very close. I think the gap between 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6 all pretty much equal, and driving the same cars as Seshan manages to hold his ground by 3/10. It's amazing how these guys can get into these corners just by a smidgen of time between them. They hop over the curbs, and you have to make sure that you get the curbing perfectly, and that chicane there, as you see Brian still having not made much of a gap there to Seshan. The gap still 6/10 from what I see. Interesting to see a little boy, 10 years old, still holding up Brian, as Thiago has a look down the inside, but Kevin having none of it. Make sure that GTR is the broadest GTR that was built by Nismo, and as you ride there with Kevin and Thiago, there's a battle brewing there. The gap again between Viren and Angelo. Interesting to see these guys, but it's even nicer to see that they are so close, and the racing is absolutely clean there, as Viren manages to pull a little bit of sunlight between himself and Angelo. Angelo still managing to keep on the back of Viren, but nevertheless no real challenge for a position change by anybody here. The benefactor in this whole gaggle of cars is Seshan. He's managed to stretch his legs a little bit there and pull a little bit of gap between himself and Brian, as Thiago there makes a bit of a mistake and goes into the barriers there. And as again you see Kevin there coming down the inside. That's his favorite spot to overtake the brother. The brother not really, I think Brian could have gone back on the switchback, but Brian I think is going to come down with the slipstream and take Kevin. Not really. The gap between these two guys is so close, you couldn't put a newspaper in between them, but Brian couldn't make that one stick, and in the process I think Thiago's also got up to him. Viren has got up to Thiago. and Angelo as well. So it's lovely to see these 5 cars, all these 5 drivers. I'm pretty sure that they've got healthy respect for each other. Kevin, Brian, Thiago, Viren, and Angelo, Mevan, all these from number 2 to number 7, all go-karters in the real world. They've all raced each other at Bandaragama, and it's nice to see all of them trying their hardest to keep up with the others. So it's tough times for all these guys, as they don't have any real world racing, and e-sport being the only way out for them. This circuit is a 5-kilometer fantasy circuit made by Gran Turismo. It's got 17 turns in total. You've got a serious change of elevation, and as these guys try their hardest here to go to get championship points, which are extremely vital. And you see Kevin there now closing the gap to Seshan. Seshan had better be careful, because unlike Brian, Kevin seems to be having a lot more pace than Brian did at that point of time. So therefore it's going to be a matter of time when Seshan sees Kevin pretty much on his door, and Kevin is a very, very hard driver. He's going to make sure he makes Seshan's life living hell as well. But Brian now again, having got close to Kevin, no love lost between these two brothers on this circuit today, as Brian makes a bit of a mistake there, and I think he may have almost lost it to Thiago. Thiago getting down the inside there. These guys again very healthy driving amongst themselves, because they've driven it in the real world again in their karting days, so they have a lot of respect for each other. Brian squarely keeping that car on the right side to make sure that Thiago doesn't come down the inside, and Brian lives to fight another day. But in the process, Kevin has pulled about a 1.3 seconds away from Brian, and Seshan has pulled away from Kevin as well. It's nice to see these guys trying their darnest, absolutely clean driving. Brian, I think, is now under serious pressure from Thiago as well as Viren. Thiago trying the undercut there, it didn't really work. He was on the wrong side of the circuit there, because Brian did a bit of a dance and a wiggle and a waggle, as one would call it, and I think he was on the wrong end of that one. To be the benefactor of that, Thiago will have to brake extremely late to get hold of Brian. There's a little bit of contact. Thiago going parallel there. I think the man who might benefit from this is Viren. No, he couldn't. He was a bit too far. Thiago trying everything he knows in the book to get better of Brian there. I'm sorry to say, but Brian is having a bit of a bad hair day today. And I think if you do get ahead of Brian, the dirty air is going to really affect Brian, and his tires are going to get hassled as well. Thiago is under pressure from Viren, and it'll be interesting to see how these guys manage this one out there. And Brian there running the car a little wide, where meanwhile Kevin has not really made much of an impression on Seshan, but with due credit to them, they have pulled away from Brian and Thiago and Viren. So the top two clearly in a league of their own. They're driving at a totally different pace, whereas Seshan, I have to say, Seshan has saved his tires and his fuel as opposed to the other 3 drivers. That is an interesting phenomenon there, Sam. Seshan has got almost half tank of fuel in his car and has got better tires than Kevin, Brian and Thiago. All these guys will have to pit in way earlier, and I think Seshan can actually go a lap longer than these guys, because he has really saved his car and the fuel. It's amazing how this young man drives. There's something radically wrong with the fuel gauge or the way he's driving, because he's perfectly online with that. But Kevin has gone through quite a bit of fuel. He may be able to do one more lap after this one, or maybe they might have to come in for a pit stop here, which means he's going to be running short on this fuel. You've got to come in on the 8th lap to make things stick. And if you do come on the 7th, you're going to have to do 9 laps in your second stint, which means at some point of time you will have to coast, and that's not ideal. So Thiago back again, right on the tail of Brian. Brian running there a little too wide there. He might get a better exit, but he really kept himself vulnerable there to being taken by Thiago. Thiago really hassling this boy now, but in the process, both of them have really little fuel left in their car. I'm not too sure if they can do one more lap, but again, Thiago flashing these lights at Brian to tell him, Brian, you're really driving slowly. The other two are getting away by this. Brian is not having none of it, and I think Brian has decided to go into the pits. A lot of these guys have really not, they've not calculated their fuel. I think Thiago can do one more lap, maybe he can do 2, but Seshan can do at least another 2 laps more before he decides to come in. Brilliant driving by Seshan Gunasekara, just 11 years old. This is his second season with us, and in the second season too, he came into the pro class, chose the wrong car, and had a tough time keeping the car on track. He really didn't know what he was doing, and the father decided he was going to upgrade the steering wheel. And there you see Thiago just 1.9 seconds adrift from Kevin, and Viren is still on the tail of Thiago, trying his level best, but these guys will have to come in for a fuel stop, maybe on this lap, or maybe they can try one more lap there. But the boy who's actually keeping the pace and managing to do there, something happened to Kevin there. Kevin is slowing down drastically. Kevin lost about 3/10 there, and Thiago's made about a 10th there, so there's something wrong with Kevin's car. I think he's seen his tires have shot. That's it with his tires, as the top 3 drivers will have to come in on this lap purely because their tires have gone away from them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them coming in. Their last lap is about 1.5 seconds. There you see it, all 3 of them coming in. I'm sure Viren will follow suit as well. We'll ride on board. No, Viren has decided to stick it out there. Amazing to see where Viren is going to come in. There's no chance of a underfueling here. You'll have to fuel up to your tank. You get it all fueled up all the way. Fuel going in there. Let's see what happens to Thiago. Thiago's going in there. I think he's... There you see it. Seshan is out there. Where's Viren? Viren is a nice long way away. I hope he hasn't lost too much of time in this, because this is crucial for Viren to make sure that he can pit in and pit out. He's done an extra lap, he can take less fuel, but he needs to make sure that he pits in and pits out without losing way too much time, because otherwise it's going to be really unfortunate for him. Seshan Gunasekara 20 seconds adrift. Angelo is second, but not really second. He hasn't gone into the pits as yet. Angelo, another driver who's managed to... No, Angelo has done something somewhere. He's gone into the pits. He's fueled himself, I think, a little too early. And I have a bad feeling about this. I think he may need to come in for a pit stop again. So he's running a 2-stopper from what I see. I don't know whether he can hold it together with this way, as Thiago is 5th. And he's 1.9 seconds away from Kevin. So Thiago's taken a lot more fuel than Kevin. Kevin has taken, less fuel than Thiago. So let's see. Angelo may need to coast these guys. I'm sure. Oh, Kevin Pereira makes a right royal mess of that one, and he goes into the barrier there. I'm not too sure what happened, because he's lost a bucket load of time, and Riyaz Hafrat as well is catching him right now. That is an absolute crying shame. I'm not too sure what exactly happened. The car's got terminal damage as well, and that would be the end. I'm not too sure how one sorts this out. Does he have to go? He has to go into the pits? No, he doesn't. When he can coast for a certain amount of time when the car sorts itself out, but in the process I think he's lost a bucket load of time. Brian Pereira, I don't know what on earth happened to him. He's lost so much of time. Plus he's got a penalty as well. Not really sure what exactly has happened. So the fight now is between Seshan, Angelo and Thiago, because Viren is in the fight too, but Thiago is 7 seconds away, and I have a sneaky feeling that Angelo may have underfueled his car. because from what I see, the fuel loads that Thiago carries, Thiago has enough fuel to not only finish, but he can power it through all the way because he's got more fuel on board. And I think Viren and Thiago are carrying about the same fuel load. No, Thiago still carries more fuel, so which means he's carrying more fuel. He can power it through all the way, running a much heavier fuel mixture to give him more power. I guess that seems to be the way forward. You see Angelo suffering further down in the twilight stages of this race. He'll have to coast, and I hope it doesn't happen to him where he runs out of fuel. I think these guys are now getting into a bit of a rhythm there. They're not really fighting each other. Unfortunate for Kevin and Brian, because Kevin was having a really strong race there, and now he's being caught by Riaz as well as Brian. Mevan, I'm not too sure what is going on with Mevan. He's having a pretty lonely race at the back there. I think this circuit doesn't suit this car nor him, and he's struggling. But Seshan Gunasekara 6 seconds adrift from Angelo Senratna, and almost 20 seconds or 24 seconds away from his championship contender Brian Pereira, and that's unfortunate because 23 seconds is a lifetime for him. Brian is not really going to make much of a sandwich on this one, as Thiago is getting caught by Brian. Thiago's managed to get within a second of Angelo, but he's also been caught by Viren. He has a bit of a moment with the barrier. These are not things that one must be doing. Yet for all, I'm sure Thiago knows what he's doing, and that little twitch there has cost Thiago. Thiago's almost getting taken by Brian, by Viren as well. Angelo, again, not too sure what his game plan is, but I have a sneaky feeling that within the next 4 laps, he is going to have to reduce his fuel mixture in that car of his to make him run all the way to the finish. But Seshan Gunasekara, all by himself, a lonely race for him, and that's Mevan now managing to get the better of Riaz Hafrat. Riaz, another astute driver, trying his level best. Usually drives a different car, but today they've all decided to drive the identical car. Mevan driving the car with Target planted on it. I think Target is the company his father Saman works for or owns, and as a result, Target being his company brand. We also have our sponsors, J Homes, Lab 57, House of Glass and Pit Pass, all plastered along all these cars. We'll ride on board again with Kevin. Kevin is now managing to pull away from Brian. I think he's got back into a bit of a rhythm now. Yet for all, Seshan Gunasekara, the boy, doing a 1 minute 27.370 as his fastest. Viren now is again under 1 second from Thiago, and Thiago now pretty much on the tail of Angelo Senratna. So Angelo knows, he can see the gold color car which is right on his tail. He's got to do something, because once you get under 5/10, you get an absolutely brilliant slipstream down this long straight. As you saw Thiago there, he gained a tenth there, breaks a little later than Angelo and makes it stick there to bring it back to 3/10. And Angelo has to be very mindful of what he's doing now, because Thiago is on his tail. Angelo has a little less fuel, but Angelo too has been conserving his fuel to make sure that he can run this thing to the wire. It's good for the championship, because the championship points are going to get all into different ways today, because Brian unfortunately is all the way down, and this would have been very important for him, as Angelo is now being hounded by Thiago. Thiago is looking down the inside of him, but this is not the place you do this. Ideally, you do this after the long straight, when you go into your braking point, or you can take him in the corner just before the start finish. That corner is the one that you can take him. You have to be on his tail. These guys are really trying their level best. We'll ride on board with these two guys. Thiago might dive down the inside here, as yes, you see him there diving down the inside there, having a look. Viren trying the same thing as well, but not really making it work. I think Thiago had to attack as well as defend, and he's in a bit of a sandwich there, which has given Angelo a bit of a breathing space there. At this point of time, Thiago is now under pressure from Viren. Interesting times as they go through this. Thiago looks down the inside. Viren looks down the inside of Thiago, but doesn't want to try it. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, amazing driving by these three guys. Extremely healthy. There's no contact. Their defending is spot on. They don't turn into the other guy. They have absolute special awareness to know who's where. As you go up this little straight down into the kink again, where you start doing the left, right, left sequence, and back again, uphill, downhill. It's amazing how the car has to have extremely great balance to make sure that you brake at the right point and don't lose the grip. You can bias the brakes in these cars. You can change the fuel mapping. You can also change the traction. So corner by corner, I'm told that they do change the traction while they're driving to get a better acceleration and better braking into and out of corners. As you see, Seshan Gunasekara still leading this pack by almost 7.5 seconds. He's a country mile away as Thiago goes down the inside. The three cars are pressed there, and it's interesting to see. I think Thiago's gone off there and he's lost a place to Viren, but he may have got a good drive out of that corner as Thiago retains his third place. It'll be, oh no, poor Angelo. Angelo is trying to defend, and I think the man who's going to benefit from this is Viren Botejo. Yes, it's Viren. Viren has got the better of Thiago and Viren has got the better of Thiago and Angelo. I think that was a double overtake that Viren was making. I feel very sorry for Angelo. He tried his level best. I think Angelo's tires have also seen better days as Thiago and Viren now battle it out for second and third. Whoa, brilliant driving by Viren. Viren is a master tactician. He will know exactly how to keep his car as broad as he possibly can. He's done this at Katakurunda twice last year in December and won the SLH 1600 class all by himself in that car. And again, he's doing this at Dragon's Tail. Thiago trying a different line, trying to get a different run out of the corner. Not really easy, because this point, if you are too close, you will also have the dirty air. If you're too far away, you're going to not get this toe. So you have to be on the money here, as these guys have one lap more to go. That was a brilliant drive by Viren. Viren really saw the gap there. He knew where to plant his car. And now you see, as we come into the last bit of this whole thing, on the last lap, Seshan Gunasekara leads the boys by 7.76. Actually, Seshan the boy leads the men by 7.76 in this race. And we've had quite a bit of incidents on this race as Viren, brilliant drive by him. Finally, Viren has chosen a car which is competitive. He's always been that dare to be different and driven a car which was totally outside the realms of winning. And this time he's proved his mettle by driving a car which is equal to everybody else's. And he's just got a smidgen of a lap to go. I hope his fuel holds on, because he's got very limited fuel left in that car of his, whereas Thiago has a lot more. And Viren has to hold steady. I hope he can hold this one. The light is blinking for Viren. Viren's fuel is on he's driving on fumes. He's got just about a kilometer and a bit to go, and he's got a good lap. He's got a good lead there, but let's just hope he can get over the wire with the fuel he has, as we've seen drivers who've come up to the start-finish line and run out of fuel on that straight bit. Brilliant driving by these boys. Seshan Gunasekara, as Seshan is now coming to the last bit. Brilliant drive by the young man as he takes the last corner there. Goes right round. He's also with his lights, full light blinking there. He's timed it perfectly. He flashes his lights. Great drive by Viren. We're right on board with Viren, and we hope that Viren has in the fuel. We pray for the boy. Yes, he gets it. So Viren second, Thiago third, Angelo fourth. Great drive by Angelo as well. Kevin Pereira, sad to see what happened to him. Kevin managing to come a lonely fifth. Mevan has come sixth, and Brian is 7th. I'm not really sure what happened to Brian in this race, but I think Brian is counting on the reverse grid, and Brian they are coming 7th, and we will wait for Rhea Safrat as he's a bit further away, and he's coming around. He's running on fumes as well. Great drive by all these guys. A big hearty congratulations to Seshan Gunasekara, and we'll be back with you for race 2 with a reverse grid shortly. Race at Home Championship brought to you by the Ceylon Motorsports Club Round 3. Reverse grid in place, and we've got Riaz Afrat who's on pole, followed with Brian Pereira next to him, Mevan Pereira in third place, Kevin Pereira in fourth, Angelo Senratna in fifth, Thiago in sixth, Viren in seventh, and Seshan in eighth. So this is 5 lights on, and the lights go on, lights go off, and off they go. A brilliant start by all these guys, very clean. Seshan not having made enough ground in the process. I'm still wondering where he is. He's still last, but in the process Brian has managed to get the better of poor Riaz, and oh, there's quite a bit of bumping and screaming and shouting there as these guys. Viren has managed to get third place. Oh, there's quite a bit of weaving, and Riaz, poor guy, I think he put the car in the wrong place the wrong time. That's a bit of an unfortunate situation for him as Brian manages to get the lead. But the man who made the best start today, I have to say, is Viren Boteju. Viren started 7th, and he did a Katakur on the launch, and he's come all the way up to the second place spot, and is now being hounded by Kevin. So, I mean, Thiago too, I think, has come up the grade quite a bit. Seshan Gunasekara is ticking driver by driver in this process. He started last, he's now up, taken 2 places up, he's up to 6th. He watched the boy come. Just a matter of time before Seshan knocks on the door of all these guys and says, "Hey boys, I'm here. Let's party now." As you see, Seshan is now in 5th place. Amazing drive by these guys as Thiago, Viren and Kevin fight each other in this little battle here brewing between these 3 cars. Angelo Senratna is having none of it. He is giving Seshan a run for his money. I can see Angelo there. Angelo and Seshan, no, it's not going to be that easy. Angelo is also a very smart driver. Let's ride on board with Seshan and see what exactly happens there. As Kevin and I see Kevin has taken Viren there in that little right hand corner. There's been a bit of contact there. Kevin let's watch that battle there. The battle between Kevin, Thiago and Viren. There's a bit of a battle brewing there as well, as Viren manages to get the better of all these guys and stays ahead. He keeps the car squarely on the right, Viren trying to keep the inside, and in the process I think Mevan or Kevin runs a bit wide there and opens the door for Thiago. Thiago manages to get the 3rd place, and once you've lost the 3rd place, you have to take it back, and that's another day, another fight. This is unnecessary. Poor Kevin, he could have taken this brilliantly, and I think he lost it there. Oh, what on earth happened to Viren there? Viren opened the door completely for Thiago and said, "Please go," kind of thing. And I'm not too sure what exactly Viren was thinking there. Why did he open the door? He could have shut the door on Thiago there. Oh, that was an unnecessary move. I'm not really sure why Viren did that, but I think Thiago said thank you very much and took the place. He's not going to give it up there that easily, but I think Thiago gives the place back to Viren. I mean, what are these 2 guys trying to do? Oh gosh, again Viren opened the door and let Thiago go. These guys, I mean, Viren needs to shut the door, otherwise Kevin is going to come. These guys are trading places. Oh, beautiful move by Kevin, but Kevin is going to be taken again by Viren because Viren got a better run out of that corner. No, I think that didn't really make it stick there because I'm not too sure what exactly Viren was trying to do there. He tried one way, tried the other way. It didn't really work, but lovely. But guys, see who's in the background. The green color monster. Monster is there. He's there. He's right behind. He's knocking on Viren's door and saying, "I'm here. Move, or thou shalt be taken." And Seshan Gunasekara in the green car there. That Godzilla is right on Viren's tail there, and Viren is on the tail of Kevin, hounding Kevin. Kevin trying his level best. Whoa, Kevin, keep it clean, please. You better make sure that you don't bump there, as we run too wide and Seshan takes the very deep outside line, and there's no contact as much as such, but there is Seshan who's managed to get the better of Viren, running all the way from the outside. Very smart move by Seshan. I mean, this is what champions are made out of. All the way from the back, he's come all the way to the middle of the order now. Thiago is 4 seconds away from Brian, but Brian has managed to pull away from Thiago as Kevin does one humongous fishtail there. Seshan Gunasekara still maintains the fastest lap of the day, and he has done a 1:28.430. But Brian, all by his lonely self, is 3.7 seconds away from Thiago, and Kevin is now under pressure from Seshan. I wonder what happened to Viren. Viren is not in the same frame, but Viren is being now caught by Angelo as well, as Seshan drifts that car beautifully, 4-wheel drift into the corner. He had it beautifully there. I must say, this boy, he's got tremendous car control. Kevin is now under pressure from Seshan. Seshan is also a great driver. He looks down the inside there. Is he going to brake late? No. These two boys, Kevin and Seshan, both driving Fanatec DD Pros, while Thiago and the rest are all running either Thrustmasters or Logitech G29 steering wheels. So credit to the other boys. These guys are really trying their level best, running with the equipment that they have. Seshan looks down the inside. I think he may have braked later. Yes, he has. Kevin had no answer to that, but Kevin is not going to give up as well. Kevin is another smart guy. He's going to take him on some kind of braking point. Gives him a tap there. Kevin, better keep this clean. No bumping and hitting here, please. And then it all boils down to Seshan having the legs to get ahead of Thiago and Brian. Catching Thiago might be possible. Catching Brian, that's a toughie. But Kevin, still for all, trying his level best. We have to make sure that these guys drive clean. Race control telling them via the Discord channel to keep everything in perspective. And as I see Viren now being caught by Angelo Semratna. Viren not too sure exactly what happened, and Mevan also on the tail of Angelo. So there you see it. Let's ride on board with Thiago. Thiago is 3.1 seconds away from Brian. Brian, our championship leader for provisional, I think, and he's the defending champ for sure from last year. Has gone through half a tank of fuel. Thiago is 2.9 seconds away from Brian, catching Brian from what I see. Seshan is not really catching these guys because he is under pressure from Kevin. Viren, we see Viren is also under pressure from Angelo. Healthy driving by these boys. Angelo taking the inside line. Viren braking a smidgen later than Brian, Angelo, and taking not allowing the place to be taken. Seshan trying to get away from Kevin. These two guys having absolutely similar pace from what I see, but very nice. The acceleration, that the throttle control that Seshan has is phenomenal. You can see him feathering the throttle through this. He's off the brake, presses the brake again, off the throttle, and runs a little too wide there. May have lost him a little time, but nevertheless, Seshan is 2 seconds adrift from Thiago, and Kevin is still on his tail, hounding the boy, 2 laps away from a pit stop from what I see. But Seshan, again you see Seshan has burnt far less fuel than Thiago and Brian. So Thiago will have to come into the pits very much earlier than the rest, but it doesn't really matter if you can pull it up to the 8th lap. Whether you come in this way or that way, it doesn't really matter because you've got enough fuel to run yourself to the wire. Thiago's brought it down to 2.6 seconds. He's gaining on each lap that I see. His fastest being 1:28.377. Thiago's got the fastest lap as well in the process. He's on a charge to catch hold of Brian. That is an extra 2 points for him, I think, if he does keep this. And Seshan now again under pressure from Kevin. These guys are trying their darnest, but if you can see, the tires are going to go away from them in a lap and a half. 8 laps is ideal, 9 is being optimistic, 10 is being absolutely idiotic, as Sam says. So there you see it, Seshan Gunasekara, Fujitsu all over his side of his car. I'm telling you, these guys, their tires are going away from them as Seshan is 2.6 seconds away from Thiago, and he is fishtailing himself, which means he's burning his rear tires pretty badly. This is absolute testament to Brian and Thiago. They've managed to hold steady. They've got enough fuel to run, and Thiago is now 2 seconds adrift from Brian. Not too sure what the game plan here is, but Thiago is still keeping the same gap and holding steady. This is great driving by Brian, super driving by Thiago and Seshan and Kevin, Viren, Riaz and Angelo. Angelo's dropped down to 7th place. I wonder whether he had a bit of a moment and went off, but Seshan for once is not having it easy. He drifts the car again, and that's not the way you should be driving these cars, because the more you drift, the more you burn the rubber, the more you burn the rubber in these late stages. You're not going to be on the pace. So Seshan's last lap a 129.816, Thiago's last lap a 129.088, and Brian's last lap a 129.588. So there you see it, Thiago's dropped the lead again to 1.7 seconds. Brilliant drive by Brian, I must say. Whoa, fishtails that car. It's not going to really help. These guys have to come in for tires very, very soon. The longer they wait, they are not going to really make that much of an effort, or not much of an impression on each other. The tires are now saying hello, we're going, and if it does go away from you, you are going to lose a lot of time, as Thiago brings it down to 1.1 seconds now. Brian can see the gold color car on his tail, and again Seshan and the others have really fallen back. Thiago needs to really be mindful of his drive and not make any idiotic mistakes. 1.3 seconds adrift again, so the tires are going away from them. I think this lap would be the lap for these guys to pit, because Brian, I think, can do an extra lap. No, but I think Brian is coming in. Thiago is coming in. Very late decision to come in by Thiago and Brian. Thiago's got only 13% of fuel. So the top 5 drivers have already come into the pits. It will be interesting to see if one of them does the undercut by underfueling themselves. The fuel going into the car, it will be interesting to see how much of fuel they all take in. We'll ride on board. Seshan is in as well. Brian is in as well. Brian is out. Just about Brian just leaving now. So Brian's got 81% of fuel, and Thiago has still not fuel. He's got 86% of fuel. Thiago always takes a little bit more fuel than the rest because he's a little thirstier than the others, and in that process I think Seshan has underfueled himself, or just about enough, and he's got about a second and a half of Thiago in the pits, and he's managed to pull a second away from Kevin as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4 now equally poised. Viren Boteju leads the pack after many moons again. He's leading the pack. He hasn't done a pit stop. We hope and pray that he got this one right. His last lap is a 129.97, and he's down by 6/10. He needs to be very mindful. His fuel is on its limit. I wonder if he hadn't had a moment there, but he's lost a second and a bit there as Viren comes across Mevan Pereira, who's coasting and is being lapped by Viren. Viren now coming into the pits. I'm not too sure what exactly. Viren, come into the pits, please. Yes, he does. I was wondering for a moment whether Viren was going to do another lap accidentally. And Brian there leads Thiago by 3 seconds. Brian, I think, by his underfueling, managed to get a little bit of a breather. Thiago was 1.1 seconds away from Brian, as Viren now is still in the pits. Viren is 3rd, 4th, 5th, and I think he'll come out in 5th place. That's where he was a little while ago, but unfortunate for him, there's the elder brother Brian now lapping Mevan, who's the younger brother. There's not much he can do. Mevan will have to move, or he will be coasting, or he'll be ghosting. As you can see, the car is not really it's just there on track. The blue flag, Marshall's coming up with the blue flag as Brian gets a fastest lap again. Sector again, he may be up for a quicker slap. Not too sure why he's not overtaking the brother, because he's coasting through. He's lost a little bit of time there. Not really sure why, but he could have got around that much quicker. Brakes there into second gear, very, very gentle on the throttle, and let's watch the clocks here. Yes, he's quicker by 2/10. So Brian is on a roll here to make sure that he gets a good time here. I was envisaging it will be in the late 127s or early 128s. So Thiago is still not making much of an impression on Brian. He's trying his darnest there, but Seshan Gunasekara is on Thiago's tail now. He's just a second and a bit. It's one thing to catch, it's another thing to overtake. Seshan has to be extremely cautious because he doesn't want to make any mistakes and lose the advantage he has in the championship with his points, as Mevan Pereira there stays squarely on circuit. But I was told that even though the car is ghosting, it's very distracting when these cars are in front of you. But yet for all, Seshan there gets 2 wheels off the circuit and may have lost a little time. No, he hasn't. He's got a good drive out of the corner there. And Thiago still holding second place. Seshan at the moment now lapping the slow-moving Mevan Pereira. So Thiago's done a quick lap again. As I told you, Brian is going to be in the 127s. Seshan seems to be the guy who's got into the 127.9s. Brilliant timing by him as well. Thiago is there trying to chase Brian as we ride on board with Seshan now. Seshan closing the gap to just under a second. The gap seesawing between a second and a bit, up and down between Seshan and Thiago. Kevin Pereira has lost out a bit after pit stop. The Viren Boteju is now about 4 seconds away from Kevin. I'm not too sure what exactly happened in the pits, but unfortunately for him, he didn't really come out as the man who made the most advantage out of this whole process. So there you see Thiago being chased by Seshan, but the gap still holding at 1 second. They've got about 5 laps more to go in this whole process, as Seshan still holds the fastest lap at 127.937. The Viren Boteju, Viren is the man, fastest lap 127.720. Viren Boteju now gets the fastest lap of 127.720. Don't discount Viren, the Katukurun, the champion, the Mahagasura champion. He is on a roll. He's going to be very, very fast. I can see he's just 2 seconds adrift from Kevin. Let's ride on board with Viren. Viren is on a charge. I must say that Viren has finally found a great partner. Apart from his wife, found a brilliant partner in this Nissan GTR. He's finally got his teeth into this car and he's giving it all he has. Beautiful drive there by Viren Boteju. Viren, brilliant drive there. He has to get past this slow-moving Mevan Pereira. Mevan trying to unlap himself is not really brilliant thing to do because he's got a yellow flag there. He's not really ideal. 2.5 seconds now between Kevin and Viren. I think Viren is trying his hardest to get past, and he has. The gap has not increased or decreased between Thiago and Seshan. These two guys going up and down, seesawing a bit. The gap to Brian has reduced to 2 seconds now. That is a little worrying for Brian because Brian was running pretty decently in this whole process. He had a 3.5 second lead. After 2 laps, it seems to have dropped to 2 seconds. There's only so much that one can do. I hope. That is really unfortunate for Seshan. Over trying that corner there. You have to controlled aggression, as I heard it being said yesterday by Thiago himself while giving the commentary. That was a bit of a moment there, and Seshan loses quite a bit of time to Thiago. Unfortunate, because these last 3 laps is very crucial for Seshan. Seshan needs to come up the pack. He needs to fight to get the points here. He has to overtake Thiago. He has to get hold of Brian, hold him by the scruff of his neck and shake that car a little bit more. He has to get into the sights of Brian Pereira. There's no point him him making mistakes like this right now, because unfortunate, Thiago is still 1.7 seconds. He's slowly clawing in on Brian. Brian is driving his fastest best he can, as Viren Boteju still holds the fastest lap here. Brian Pereira, our leader for the day today, on lap 13 is 1.4 seconds away from Thiago. Thiago now trying to get into the slipstream of Brian. I'm not too sure whether this is going to work. He's a bit too far. Where is Seshan? Seshan Gunasekara has dropped to 2.8 seconds. He was just under a second at one point. He's lost almost 2 seconds with that moment. Kevin Pereira is still trying to catch hold of to Seshan, but that's not really working. But Viren Boteju again, he's getting closer. He's not close enough, but Viren needs to give all what he can in these last 2 laps. He can do it. He has to do it. There's no choice in this. He has to get up the ladder to gain some points in this process. Angelo Senratna, the lone driver today. I don't know what happened to Angelo. Angelo is a really good driver. I think he made some mistake somewhere. He's lost 11 seconds to Viren. He's lost 19 seconds to Brian, and there he's struggling a little bit, but he was extremely competitive in this race. Riaz Afrat, I'm not too sure what happened to him as well. He's been struggling with the GR2s. I'm very surprised. He's a super driver. He won the CMSC Speed Runs Challenge. He won a race that was held by us, and he was a brilliant driver when we started e-racing. He was one of the first drivers. Mevan Pereira, another driver, I'm really surprised about. I'm not too sure what has happened to Mevan. I'm not too sure whether this car and the track are not really what Mevan is happy with. But nevertheless, he's trying his level best in that car. He's unfortunately 1 minute and 46 seconds away from the leaders. He's got lapped. Brian Pereira now scampering away, 1.5 seconds away from Thiago. Thiago is 2.6 seconds ahead of Seshan Gunasekara, and Seshan is 2.5 seconds ahead of Kevin. So there's no real fight in any of these guys. They're into the last bits of the race. Thiago and Brian are in there. There's a lap and a bit to go. And as Brian manages to hold his place, and as Viren still holds his place with the fastest lap as well. It's pretty late in the day for us, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I can see Sam rubbing his eyes. He's had a long night yesterday as well when we ran the AM class. We thank our sponsors then, Lab 57, J Homes, House of Glass and Pit Pass. We've had a couple of issues today with the data connections that we've had. These things do happen in this kind of an e-sport world. But ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour, Brian Pereira. I hope he holds it on, because he's got just about enough fuel to hold on. As Thiago comes into second, brakes a little late, gets it onto second gear and throttles it through. No wiggle in the back. And Seshan Gunasekara, he's there in the frame as well. I can see Seshan, there he is. He can see Brian, he can see Thiago, but unfortunately that little moment that he had, a little lapse of concentration, and there you had it. He right royally cooked it up into that corner, as Thiago is now 1.2 seconds away from 1.1 seconds away from Brian. Great drive by these guys, worthy champions. Brian defending the championship, Seshan trying to catch Brian and hold on to his championship lead. And these guys, Thiago I think is not really in the top 3. He may be 4 or 5 in the championship, but today's finish will bring him up. Unfortunately, Brian had a very bad first race and Seshan had a very good first race. Thiago is 4th in the championship, I'm told, but end of the day, Brian leads the championship. Seshan leads the championship from Brian. So today we will see the championship where it all ends up, as Brian is now coasting a little bit. I think these guys both have timed their fuel to the last. They are both on fumes. We wish them all the very best. As you can see, Thiago is catching Brian, but I think that too has been left a little too late. But great drive by the boys. Great driving by these guys. Bit of a fishtail from Brian Pereira. Congratulations to him. He's won this race fair and square. He started in second place. Thiago is second. Sashank Gunasekara comes in third, flashes his lights, goes by the start finish line. Viren Boteju just finishes in fourth. Kevin Pereira now comes along in fifth place. Angelo Senuratna, where is the boy? Angelo, our man. There he comes in sixth. Riaz Hafrat, Riaz coming along there just now as Riaz comes in sixth place and Mevan comes in eighth. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our race 2. We thank you very much for being with us. We'll see you again shortly in about a month's time. Take care and stay safe.